When you hear a lot of these AI evangelists talk publicly about AI, maybe there's a 10% chance that it could be dangerous or a 5% chance. If you speak privately with those same people, they're around 70, 80%.
The scarce property of life is the human experience, whatever that means. So that's the thing that's getting scarcer, not the AI. The AI is creating abundance.
I'm an entrepreneur. I love technology and innovation. I think the tools that are now available to us are beyond extraordinary. And I can't wait to build products and businesses using these tools.
If everything that we're saying comes true with AI, we could be at a point this time next year with 30, 40, 50% unemployment.
People who care deeply and care about quality and craft, this is their moment, right? Because the last 10% is going to be everything.
With you specifically, we have to talk about how much has changed in the last year since I spoke to you. Because, I just want to recount, if anyone wants to listen to the interview we did in Morocco about a year ago, by all means, but it's me saying things like, what's vibe coding and what's an LLM and literally a year later we're driving around in driverless cars, talking to computers. 70% of my podcast is now AI.
Right.
The whole thing has just gone ballistic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, but I have this feeling that in the last 6 months, the floor has kind of dropped from underneath me, and I don't really know where we're at. I don't know when when we're going to hit that bottom floor. And yeah, I
mean, all right, let me be more specific then.
Yeah.
You were, I remember you telling me with such joy a year ago that the AI couldn't do something for you. And then all of a sudden it said, hey, do you know what? I might try and sort of iterate. The AI is saying to you, I'll tell you what, I'll do a bit of research and I'll come back to you.
Right.
I mean, you were experimenting with the coding side of it quite intensely.
Yes.
Even me now, I wrote a website last week, a new website. I'm really terrible at this, and already I can do it. And part of that process was creating a plugin for WordPress, which it did like that. I didn't even know you could do that. I thought, I'd have to get a developer to do that side of it. No, it created all the elements of it. And I would say I'm the control, because I'm not very AI savvy, but already I can do stuff. Yeah.
What I was talking about in my introductory talk here at Running Remote was how we're moving from distributed people to distributed intelligence. So it's not just people working in office, it's people working remotely, people working hybrid, people working with AI agents. And that's such a huge change from where we were even in Morocco last year. It's moved really from how can you pull in the context of what you need to accomplish, not just ask an AI what to do, but pull in all the data sets, the context, the information. And then once you have all that information, it's incredibly easy because you can just literally say, and I had in my presentation today, up until about a week and a half ago, Claude Design didn't exist. We're probably dating this podcast quite perfectly.
I'll put it out quickly, don't worry.
Claude Design did not exist.
I don't even know what Claude Design is.
So Claude Design is basically, what if you could build an entire user interface for an application just by talking to it? So you can build, Uber as an example, instantaneously, or you can build a presentation. And what I did is I had all of my slides inside of Google Slides. And I said, let's toss this into Claude Design and just see what happens. And I also built another cool tool called Peppermint, which is pulling in all of the context from my work. So it's pulling in my Slack, it's pulling in my emails, my video transcripts, all this kind of information. And then it said, well, okay, number one, I think I can put together a really good visual presentation for you. But more importantly, before that, your actual premise is wrong. 2 months ago, you talked about in a video call on a podcast, how we're moving from distributed people to distributed intelligence. And that's what should be the thesis of your talk. not what I had just spent the last 8 hours working on. And I was like, you know what? That's a better idea. In 78 seconds, it built a presentation that the AV guy just told me was the best presentation he has ever seen in his 12 years of doing slide presentations for people. The animations were perfect. The transitions were beautiful. And it's so at one point, I think I talked to you about this in Morocco. I was really, really good at writing ad copy. I still am. I put my 10,000 hours into writing ad copy. I can write an email. I can put information down on a website. I can really convince people. And I had to mourn the death of me ever doing that ever again. And I recognized a week and a half ago, I will never produce another slide deck for the rest of my life.
Jesus. Something you were talking about before, you had an AI basically monitoring everything you did.
Yeah.
In order for it to understand who you were and what you needed. And have you gone further down that road now?
Yeah, it's called Peppermint, peppermint.com.
That's
one of the applications. Yeah,
that's your company?
That's ours, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what it does is it allows you to be able to understand everything that you're doing, and it creates a digital twin. So yesterday, as an example, someone asked me, hey, did you submit your taxes to the state of Massachusetts? And my digital twin answered saying, yeah, he did it 2 weeks ago, but he actually had to use his credit card as opposed to his banking tool. And there are 3 core problems that he has to deal with. Can you tell our accountant about these issues? And that was my personal assistant that did that. So my personal assistant...
This is a pure digital personal assistant, pure AI.
A pure digital twin that just is a photocopy of me at work that understands everything that I know, and you can access it wherever you want. So if you're in a Google Doc, as an example, you could say, at Liam, what do you think about this Google Doc? What do you think about point 3? And it will literally give you my opinion. Where we got this from was...
Hold on a minute, before you go on.
Yeah.
Do you get your own opinion on stuff?
All the time. Yeah. Or even things like, I was working on this project 2 months ago, and I can't remember where the Google Doc was. Can you find it?
Right.
Yes,
Liam.
It was 2 months ago. Here it is. It's a photographic memory for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And then it also gives you the context of what's going on. I got this from last year. We had Raj from Harvard who did a really fantastic study with Zapier, which is one of the companies that are speaking here today. And the CEO of Zapier ended up getting a digital twin, pulled all of his Slack conversations into this digital twin, and then if employees had questions, you could ask Wade's digital twin as opposed to himself. So we just expanded on the technology fundamentally. That was our big inspiration. And so far it's been really successful. We have hundreds of users that are currently using it right now. And it really allows you to get rid of that synchronization tax that I talked about in Morocco. 60% of the work that is done inside of an organization is simply just moving internal documentation around, right? Like, I'm going to prepare this presentation for my manager, or I'm going to get this ready for the board, or I've got to do this big slide deck for all of the employees inside of the company. All of that disappears with something like Peppermint when you have a memory layer that you can share with people.
Do you feel uncomfortable at all about it watching you the whole time? Like, do you put limits on it? How do you stop it? I don't know, diving too deep into your life. I don't know, maybe you don't mind. That kind of stuff does make me feel a bit uncomfortable,
So it does definitely make people uncomfortable. And because I've built it, I understand how safe it is. So we've built a PII layer, so it would never record a password. It would never record an API token or like your social security number or something like that. But then you can also tweak it so it would never, ever record adult content or financial information if you wanted to be able to remove that. And then you can give complete access to yourself, which is incredibly valuable. But then if you want to be able to give trusted partners access to that twin, that's where the real magic happens, because you have that collaboration effect where I don't necessarily have to be bothered by 28 questions, of which 26 of them my twin could have answered on my behalf.
Bearing in mind my knowledge of AI is a bit limited, but it sounds like
you've gotten a lot better on it
I
last
have.
year.
I have, but I haven't really I think with me and AI, I think, and this is where you and me differ. I am very much into self-sovereign AI. I'm much more cautious than you. I'm not opening up as fast, I would imagine. So I'm thinking about it like if I want to use it in that way, I will need my own hardware. I will need it sandboxed. I will need all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. So another option that we do have is the ability to be able to bring your own API token. But again, it is a cloud system, right? So it doesn't really work if it's only available on your own rig, on your own computer, because then the collaboration component doesn't really work. But if you want to use it for yourself, that's absolutely can be done completely privately, and you can run it on your own computer.
Sure.
Directly. But again, it's so we're getting to a point where AI is doubling in intelligence every 3 months. And I think when we were in Morocco, it was probably every year. So we're just going to this exponential point that, like, I'm working in this, and I have to tell you, 6 months ago, I bought a chalet up north in Canada, much like what you guys are building, and I've got my own water, I've got my own electrical. Like, I never thought I would be a prepper guy. And just the speed by which these things are moving. I don't know have you heard about the P-doom rate?
P-doom?
P-doom.
No, I want to hear about it, though.
So a lot of engineers talk about P-doom.
As in P-doom?
Doom, yes.
Yeah.
So that's the percentage that AI will lead to our doom. It's the P-doom rate. And when you hear a lot of these AI evangelists talk publicly about AI, maybe there's a 10% chance that it could be dangerous or a 5% chance. If you speak privately with those same people, they're around 70, 80%. And I don't think that we're going to have Terminator, but I do think within the next 24 months, we're going to have a bad actor that uses AI to be able to hurt a lot of people. And that's when I don't want to be in Dodge. I don't want to be in a major metropolitan city when something like that happens.
It's funny. That's a bit of a meme, isn't it? I've heard this similar story recounted a number of times that very well-known founders are leaving their jobs and their LinkedIn profile says, sayonara, see you later, and they're just disappearing.
Yeah, the head of security at Anthropic. So the head of security at Anthropic, when 4.6 came out, he moved to Austria and he's writing poetry.
So it's real.
It's absolutely real. They're nuclear weapons that are in your pocket.
So, I'm pretty. I get fatigued quite easily with it, and it's mainly the fatigue comes, and I don't know, maybe you're alluding to this as well. The fatigue comes from constantly feeling like, oh my God, I've got to do something else now. Like I just get on top of it. I've got it editing my videos now.
Yep.
I've got it reminding me of things and telling me this might be a good thing to talk about. Or with you, for example, it would be, this is what you spoke about before. Why don't you,
Right.
But then I hear stuff like that and it's like, shit, do I need a digital twin now? Have I got to now do that?
I think that we're moving towards, I think that all of these things are probably going to be really advantageous towards your overall workflow. And probably what you're doing right now, you can create more content. You can have more conversations like this.
Yes.
Which is really the dream.
Yes.
Where it becomes dangerous is when that AI decides to completely replace you. So maybe there's you can use a HeyGen model to be able to have a version of you, and then our two peppermint twins could literally load into a HeyGen model to say, hey, let's create a podcast between the two of us. And what questions would we talk about? How would I answer those questions? And we could actually probably do that by this time next year.
Yeah, but hold a minute. Let me stop you there. Me personally, I wouldn't want to listen to that. I want the human experience. I mean, from what I can understand about the trajectory that AI is on, you can see that what the scarce property of life is the human experience, whatever that means.
Yep.
So that's the thing that's getting scarcer, not the AI. The AI is creating abundance. And as you say, the AI could create 1,000 podcasts with you and me talking for an hour each time. But it's an AI, you and me talking. And
Right.
and I would have to tell people that. And I would say it would be a gimmick for me, a one-time thing.
Right.
Hey, listen to me and Liam talk.
Yeah.
Our AI twins. But then after that, I would think, was a novel thought? Did a novel thought happen? Was a new thing spoken about? Or why am I even listening to that? Why
Right.
bother? Why not? Why not listen to the human?
I mean, so I agree with you. However, if you look at Instagram right now, a lot of Instagram girls are not real anymore. They're AI based, right? Images are really fundamentally already at this point. You're seeing a lot of that stuff inside of TikTok. So if you've looked at your feed recently on TikTok, I would probably say for me personally, I'm at about 25% of the content on there is AI driven or is at least AI assisted. So where are we at next year? Are we at 60% of short form content that's AI driven? Maybe then we start to address long form content. Maybe that's it. And I agree with you. It's like, it's the human condition. It's the human experience. It's what I prefer, but the data would show otherwise. So I think me and you would definitely want that experience, and I want to stay with it. I want to have, and that's one of the reasons why I built Peppermint, was I want a human-centric reality for AI, meaning I want the AI to be able to work around the human and help the human as opposed to bypass the human. And this is really something that I think we all need to pay attention to, because there's a lot of people right now that are building these tools that are going to replace humans. And once enough humans are replaced, you're going to see blood in the streets for sure.
I'll give you an anecdote. So obviously an AI writes my show notes now.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yesterday, the Friday's episode is a guy called Cremier. He's a really interesting bloke.
Right.
It wrote the show notes, and I had to rewrite them myself. It got so obviously AI generated.
Right.
I actually said no, stop, and I just scrapped the AI's idea.
Right.
I couldn't even send it back to zero. I had it, it was remembering, it was learning, it was
Right.
doing all these, but it was so obviously AI.
Right.
It was not. So I am rejecting it. I am rejecting even the title of the episodes. I had it recently picking viral titles for my
Right.
episodes. And now already, I got an email from a pretty good friend the other day that was written by an AI. And I know it because I know why sometimes the AIs write
Right.
why something happens and commas.
Big M dashes throughout a document or something like
all
that.
that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really bugging me, and I agree. There's a lot of slop on TikTok that
Yeah.
people are just mindlessly watching.
Right.
But that doesn't mean they're not going to reject it at some point as well. I think. I don't know.
I hope so. The issue is that this is the worst that it's ever going to be. So it's going to get a lot better in the next year, in the next quarter. And if we slow down, I think I would agree with your thesis. I just don't know where the floor is. So that's where we're at right now is I don't know where we land, where we say, okay, we're at a point where we've built the maximum amount of compute that we possibly can. And we're at a point now where podcasts will be done exclusively by humans. AIs really can't even do it. Is that going to be a point? Or what does the AI do and what does the human do? I actually think that we need to, and you're probably going to cringe at this one, government oversight for a lot of these tools. They're like nuclear weapons in your pocket. And the things that I can do with AI today allow me to affect hundreds of thousands of people that I couldn't have even dreamed of 5 years ago. So we're in a really, really interesting spot. I think that 2026 is the year where you're going to be talking about what happened before 2026. I think that AGI has actually already happened. I think 4.6 is AGI for Claude, and Codex 5.5 is definitely AGI. So, and I don't want that to happen. That's the issue. Is I don't even think it's a technological issue at this point. It's a militaristic issue. It's different nation states recognizing that if we don't build AGI first, we're going to be subjugated by the country that does. And that's a really negative spiral to have in society. I just don't know how to get out of it.
Well, I mean, arguably though, that happened with nuclear weapons and no one blew themselves up yet. You
That's
know,
absolutely right.
So I don't know. My fallback thought is always that people will crave the human element.
Yeah.
And in the end, and just because I'm just watching myself, I don't know, I suppose I could call myself normal. It's like I got a Waymo in Austin for the first time in my life, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, taking videos, showing my kids.
Yeah.
Now I've already had 3, I don't care.
Right.
All right. So I get that same experience with AI. I remember the first time I tried to get an AI to create a podcast out of something. You remember Google did it.
Yeah.
And it even spoke it, and it was. And I was going, "This is amazing."
Right.
Never touched it since.
Right.
Why would I?
Yeah.
It is like, the moment I heard someone do that, I thought, yeah, I've seen that, been there, done that.
Right.
I kind of get the feeling, because in the visual world, in the world of film and photography, we went through this with things like Adobe.
Right.
You know. Mm-hmm. Things started looking a bit samey.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. And then people thought, well, how do we make it feel a bit different, a bit real?
Yeah.
You know. So either the AI says, right, I'm now, it tries to create things that look imperfect, which it probably will do. Or we just say, do you know what? The easiest way to navigate this is just to know when something's AI and when something's a person.
Yeah.
And make your choice. And I think, to be honest, when it's things like what we're discussing now, I see absolutely no point in listening to 2 AIs talking to each other. Why would I?
Right.
Why would I?
Yeah. No. So I agree with you. And I hope that I'm not at the point where I get tricked in a year or 2 years from now, where I'm listening to a Joe Rogan podcast for 3 hours and then recognize, oh, that was entirely
probably
created
will.
by AI. Yeah.
Do you know what would be fun is if this was AI and I announced it at
who
the end of the
knows?
episode.
Yeah.
No, it's not, guys. This is 2 people really talking to each other. Tell me about the future of work. And I'm interested in that, what you've just said about you don't know where the floor is.
Yeah.
You don't know how far this goes. And because really, you're also talking about how far does the number of people that get out unemployed go as well.
Yes.
So talk to me about that.
Yeah. So what I talked about in my opening talk was, I think we're moving from distributed people to distributed intelligence. And we have to be able to figure out where that floor is. And I think right now we're in this state of flux where we really don't know. Are we going to, our accountants going to be, replaced by AI? Our lawyer is going to be replaced by AI. Our doctor is going to be replaced by AI. No one really knows at this point. Actually, this is a really nice kind of moment in time, because I think that we'll probably have the answer to those questions by this time next year, for sure, as to whether or not that's going to happen. And I pray that we can retain some level of autonomy there, because I don't even know what the sociological implications of 30, 40, 50% unemployment might be. No one's been there before. And if everything that we're saying comes true with AI, we could be at a point this time next year with 30, 40, 50% unemployment.
Really? 12 months? People seem to make those kind of predictions a lot. I mean, what were we talking about a year ago?
I'll give you a really good corollary towards this. So OpenAI has raised a ridiculous amount of money. You could probably put it up on the screen, Google it. Your AI could put it up on the screen somewhere. And if every single person on planet Earth, all 8 billion and change people, bought a subscription to OpenAI, it would still not equal the valuation that OpenAI is currently at. So that leaves you with one very clear conclusion, which is their end game is not for people to get subscriptions to OpenAI. Their end game is to replace hundreds of millions of people's jobs. So if I can pay $2,000 to have an accountant that does absolutely everything for me and does a much better job than my current team of accountants that I think I spent $60,000 on last month for my taxes, well, of course I'm going to take that deal. A whole bunch of other people will take that deal as well. But then what does that, as Marx says, the petite bourgeoisie, the lawyers, the accountants, the doctors, the executives, what are they going to do with their time? Well, I don't know. And that scares the living daylights out of me.
Yeah, I don't know either.
We're going to all produce poetry? No way. Like there has to be some type of, you have to strive for something. At least for me, I have to have something that is difficult that I'm working my way towards. It's just how I'm built. And if I can't do that, I'm very unhappy.
You seem to have the same opinion as a lot of kind of AI insider people, which is,
Sure.
oh shit, I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I can't even advise you, kind of thing. Like because I mean, it's coming for, well, like I say, it's not coming for all of us. I've been through, like, you know, the media's been through an event like this.
Right.
You know, when we went from analog to digital, and it absolutely annihilated the way people do the media.
Sure.
But other things have come out of it, and me as a person, I can still make a good living doing this. I just do it in a different way.
Right.
So I'm not a doomer, an AI doomer in that sense. However, take driverless cars, right? I've had more Waymos than I've had real people in Austin, and I've been getting them regularly.
Yep.
So that is happening.
Yep.
That is going to happen.
Yep.
There's obviously a business model there working. Yep. It's obviously, you know, the one I got this morning was literally $7.
Yeah.
You know, to get from my place to here.
And it would have cost you 20 had it been a human, probably.
I don't know what it would cost me. I mean, but the point was, a Waymo picked me up from from where I live and dropped me off here for $7.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you get for $7? You know, taxis used to cost a lot more than that. So it's obviously happening.
Right.
It's obviously going to happen. I don't think we've yet seen certain parts of the economy getting hit, like your average
Joe.
Lawyer. I think that the fair thing to say is at the moment it's replacing the people who do the jobs that AI do, which in the case of a company will be the new people in the door,
right,
working their way up, someone down at the bottom.
Right.
You think it's going to eat its way all the way to the top, do you?
I think if I had to bet you $1 in a year from now, they're fucked.
Everyone.
I think that the majority of white collar work will no longer exist in 5 years.
So what are you doing then? What are you going to do? Oh, you bought that place up
I bought a place up north. It's got its own water. I've got electrical backup.
What are you going to do, though?
I'm never going to tell you where it is exactly. It's in a very nice place. I got about 20 acres of land. I'm going to hang out.
But what are you going to do? Just hang out? You know that doesn't work.
I've got 2 kids. So for me, you know, my mindset really changed once I had kids, which is it's not so much about going on the offensive, but it's maintaining the defensive line. So my mindset really changed once I had kids in that context. But yeah, I agree with you that for me, I need to strive towards something to be content. And if AI is doing it all, just like what I said, I'm never going to produce a slide deck ever again.
How did you finish your talk? Because I didn't hear it. I was interviewing people. What was the end of it? How do you leave a crowd like that with the information that probably everyone's going to be out of a job? How do you make that something motivational?
So I'm saying this as a warning to prepare people for what's coming. And it's not so much about, I mean, I could sugarcoat this and I could say, I think that everything is going to be fine. And it very well could be, by the way. There's another version of reality, which is it's literally like us moving from typewriters to personal computers. I don't know if you remember this. I remember it very, very briefly, which was typing pools, right? So you'd have these armies and armies of primarily women that would transcribe documents, right? You would have a document that would be transcribed by a typist, and that was a big component of the economy. And within years, that was gone. It was all replaced by personal computers because everyone was doing that work directly. That same transition might occur with AI. And if it does, that's a very utopian version of the future, because I would see everyone being able to do much more of the creative work that they really love and less of the boring stuff that they don't really want to do. My concern, however, is that technology has never really just said, oh, yeah, okay, we got to the point where all the boring jobs are gone and only the interesting ones are left that are the most expensive. Why don't we stop there? Like that's never happened in the history of civilization. Another really good interpretation, which I love to quote all the time, is the invention of electricity. So electricity was what was defined as a general technology, meaning it wasn't a better shovel or it wasn't a better, television set. It was a piece of technology that affected everything. And I think that's the transition that we're currently going through now. But instead of getting rid of manual work, we're getting rid of intellectual work. And that's why it's so much more concerning for me, because I've spent the last 20 years of my life pursuing intellectual work.
Well, it's getting rid of manual work as well. I mean, robots
That's a good
will
point.
exist.
Yes.
It's getting rid of work.
Yeah.
And to be honest, work, I know a lot of us bitch about work, but without work, we are pretty useless. We have to work. I think it gives us, it limits us, which is a great thing. I think abundance sounds like a great idea, but I think in reality, you could do this with your kids. If you give them abundance, they grow up gnarly kids.
Yeah.
If you give them some scarcity in their lives and some boundaries, you get great kids.
Yep.
I mean, it's an existential problem like that we're facing. And
Do you know the highest population historically of horses? What was the single largest amount of horses on planet Earth?
it's probably in Mongolia, I would say, is it?
No, historically.
Genghis Khan?
Nope. It was 1910.
Oh, right.
1911, the Model T came out.
Okay, right.
Now we're at about 1.5% of that 1910 population. Horses didn't change.
Yeah.
It's just that they have no more value to the economy. So when you really kind of calculate it out in terms of GDP per capita, if that capita is mechanical as opposed to organic, meaning Claude Code is now replacing the accountant, or the Tesla robot is replacing your driver, or replacing cutting your hedges outside of your house, or cleaning up your house. What jobs do humans do? I don't know.
I don't think there are any in that sense. I think at that point...
Okay, so then you agree with me.
No,
So we're
no,
fucked.
I think I might agree. I disagree on the outcome.
Okay.
I think at that point, we will limit ourselves, because we do that already in many ways. I'll give you an example. You could buy anything. If you're rich enough, you can buy whatever you want.
Yeah.
But some people still buy old cars,
Sure.
because they want to buy an old car. They don't want to drive around in something new. So
Yeah.
they're deliberately limiting themselves. They could afford whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. I think I told you this before. I used to run expeditions to remote locations.
Right.
They were very hard and very uncomfortable, very cold. It was a horrible way to live.
Right.
But people paid tens of thousands of dollars to do it.
Right.
They were literally paying to put this hardship in their life. Right. So if I'm almost certain as humans, we will find a way to insert the hardship back, to insert the limitation back. And I think that's how we'll move forward. Because I think without it, we'll turn into brats. We'll turn into horrible kids.
I agree. I'm so hopeful that is the vision of the future that happens, because I think the other one could be absolutely disastrous for everybody.
It is, but let's not leave on a bad note.
Right.
Come on,
Sure.
Give me something. I hate leaving on doomer notes. Give me a positive outcome. Like, are you going up on stage again at any point?
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Later today.
Give us your best, positive keynote ending.
Listen, I think there's a 30% chance that we'll enter a utopia, a sense of abundance that you won't even be able to recognize in comparison to where we were 2 to 3 years ago. I think everyone will be able to get possibly whatever they want at any time, because labor will be free. And in an economy where labor is unlimited, where that capita, the GDP per capita, is mechanical, and I can print out a $10,000 robot that, by the way, also prints itself out for other people, the economy is unlimited. And so that's an incredibly exciting future. And that's a future that I hope exists, because that's at a point where we can really strive to be able to pursue who we are. And there will be no must inside of what you do. But at least for me, there's no must in what I do, but I still pursue something. I still make sure that I can be pushed up against something. I can try to push myself to the next level, because right now,
Don't go doomer on me.
I don't want to go doomer on you.
Doomer on me.
But I think we're going to be, I hope that we have this version of the future that I just described, I'm just
Dude,
really
look,
stressed out
let
that
me
it may
stop
not be
you
the
there.
case.
I will
Yes.
take the 30% bet.
Okay, great.
Liam, thanks, mate. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see
Wonderful
you too.
event.
Yeah.
Well done for this. It's,
Awesome.
And thanks for coming. Thanks for speaking again.
No worries. Thanks.
This episode of the Free Cities podcast is brought to you by Veritas Villages. Now, Veritas Villages are freedom-oriented, energy self-sufficient luxury communities designed for people who want to enjoy peace of mind and real freedom in today's unpredictable world. Join a community of like-minded neighbours who value privacy and independence in a place where you can use Bitcoin, including for the purchase of your property. www.veritasvillages.com/free cities for more info, and in the meantime, enjoy the conversation. Yeah, I was doing another interview and I missed the first part of your talk. I kind of got in there at the end.
Okay.
So I didn't actually, I didn't manage to work out why it was called the second wave of remote work.
Yeah.
What was the second wave bit? I did. I
Yeah,
kind
no
of,
worries.
But I mean, can you sort of elaborate a little? Just go.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the macro view of all this stuff.
I can explain it very quickly.
Go on then.
So the first wave was the pandemic, right? It was when everyone was sort of forced into remote work. If you could work remotely, you started to work remotely. And so that entire paradigm shift was a big wave for remote work. Before the first wave, it was niche. Like what I said on stage is I was just one of many entrepreneurs that got made fun of for having a remote company. But the first wave normalized, it made remote a normal thing. Now 98% of workers say that they want to spend at least part of their time working remotely. The second wave is when remote work is now optional again. We spent 6 years learning the best practices. Now remote work is optional. There's a lot of return to office plans, but there's a high percentage of the workforce that still wants to work remotely. And so as somebody who runs a remote company, I'm looking at an exponentially larger talent pool than pre-pandemic. So in this second wave, there's a much larger talent pool, but the stakes are much higher for remote excellence. Just doing the basics, having a remote-friendly work policy is not going to cut it. So most of the talk was really about what does it mean to be remote excellence, to go beyond the best practices and to really embrace remote first operate as an operating model.
But you, as you said, you were remote before the pandemic, right?
That's right.
Right, almost a pioneer, I suppose, in a way.
Yeah, just no wave yet. It was just flat water.
So what was it? So compare that to now then. What's the difference? I mean, because in a way you're seeing, in this wave, you're seeing presumably some of the same things that you saw before COVID, because COVID was a big push that made people do it. Now they don't necessarily have to.
Now remote work is normalized, right? If you work in tech, you have remote working experience. So whereas you may have been skeptical prior to the pandemic and like, I want to go to the office every day. It's just what makes me comfortable. Now a lot of those folks are like, I'm not going back to the office. I prefer to work remotely. So not only is the talent pool exponentially larger, but pretty much every company has the remote best practices dialed. So if you want to separate yourself and acquire the best talent, you're going to have to be operating at a different level than just remote friendly.
And how does that compare to, like I say, did you go remote originally for that reason?
Yeah,
was
from
it
day
for
one.
the talent pool?
100%.
Or was it 100%?
I actually love going into offices. I love a beautiful corporate office as much as the next person. But at the same time, I love working with the most talented people who challenge me and bring out my best more than anything. So being limited geographically to a specific radius around this beautiful office that I want to have just didn't really make sense to me at the time. So 2011, when we founded our company, we just felt like, look, the way that we differentiate or the way that we win is on talent, right? We're going to make it so that we can hire the best and brightest talent from anywhere on the planet Earth, and we're going to make it work.
I see that that's a great selling point, and a lot of people, especially yesterday, same on stage, this seems to be one of the big talking points, the talent pool. Obviously there are downsides as well, otherwise everyone would be remote. What do you see as the main downsides to the what's on the other end of the spectrum?
I would maybe reframe it as trade-offs, because I think there are some very specific trade-offs that you have to make in order for remote to work. Because I understand the value of being together in person. You can still do that in a remote company. You can still do retreats. You can still do small team offsites. You can still spend time on Zoom, which is about 95% as good. There are ways to create the sort of connection that you're looking for without having to be in the same geographic location all of the time. So one of the trade-offs is, hey, in a remote environment, I'm going to have to spend a lot more time on team connection because there's nobody roaming the hallways. There's no water cooler. I'm going to have to overcompensate and invest proactively in making sure my team can feel connected to each other and to the business. But the other side of that is, hey, when people get to work at home, believe it or not, they're a hell of a lot more productive.
And there's data to back that up.
There's
right?
data to back that up.
Right.
So that's why I think of it as a trade-off. There's some good that comes of it, but there's also another side of it. And so if you understand both sides and you're like, hey, on the negative side of this trade-off, I'm going to overcompensate and ensure that I can keep my team connected. And if I can do that, then they're going to be way more productive. It's a win-win.
It's true, actually. I've been quite jealous listening to people talk about the kind of retreats they go on here.
It's awesome. Our last one was in Rome, Italy. We literally crowned the new pope while we were there. It was awesome.
But what I put two and two together on this particular trip and realized that is a massive part of the remote work thing.
Yes, it is.
These incredible gatherings. Do you think it's enough to keep your team going?
I think that the ideal situation, because we've done both, I think ideally you do 2 all-team retreats annually. So that's every 6 months, you're spending a week together. And then on the small team side, so for me, like our leadership team, we would get together another 2 or 3 times throughout the year. And yeah, I do think that is sufficient in terms of, look, I'm seeing them every couple of months. And not to mention, I'm seeing them every day on Zoom, every day on Slack. We're able to stay connected for sure.
How does that rate against a company that, in your experience, that has less of a remote work team, as in the gatherings? Because that still happens in most companies, right? They still meet once a year, often at least.
Yeah, I think that the office cultures will have like little offsites for sure, but I just think it's so important for remote companies to do well that we're just so much more focused on it. Like we had 3 people on our people team in the first 30 employees because we were so focused on compensating for team connection. In an office environment, you'd have 1 people ops person maybe for the first 100 or even 150 people. So by way of just overcompensating for that side of it, we tend to get more value out of these times than, an office culture that might take that experience for granted.
As far as the second wave thesis goes, tell me a little bit about what you view as actually happening right now in the remote workspace. I've heard a couple of people with slightly differing opinions.
Yeah.
I.e., after COVID, bit of a push back to work.
Yep.
Now, in somewhat of a kind of grey area, a lot of people deciding, do we go back? Do we not? What's your view from someone from within? What's happening? Is it on the up again, or is it plateaued, or is it on the decline?
The data says that work from home has stabilized. The public narrative in the media would say that everybody's going back to work. That's actually not true according to the data from Nick Bloom and some other folks. So it's stabilized for the last 3 years. I think it was roughly 27% of work days have been remote and the rest have been in office. So that trend is stabilizing. The concept of the second wave is really about, look, if you want to attract the best talent, which is the number one priority, it's the whole reason and thesis behind why I built a remote company. So if you want to attract the best talent, the bar is now much higher in order to attract that talent that wants to work remotely, but wants to feel connected to their team, wants to actually do their best work in that environment. Being remote friendly, having a document saying you can work from home every once in a while doesn't cut it.
What's so in the landscape of normal companies, your Googles, these kind of companies, what's the current state of remote work there? Like, are they insisting people return on the whole, or are they allowing people to not? And what do we see happening? What's the result of that?
I think we're seeing anywhere from, I think in most cases, 2 to 3 days, they want you to be in the office. And so teams will end up coordinating and they'll come into the office and do their thing. But even 2 to 3 days, even 1 day in the office every week limits geographically the talent that you have access to. So it already breaks the rule where I want to have access to the best talent regardless of geography. So even 1 day required in the office per week, I get it. It's great for a team to be able to be together in the office, but you're creating that geographic perimeter that you can't go outside of if you want to actually see the true benefit of hiring that sort of talent.
So you personally would never even have a hybrid approach to it. If you were to analyze it purely sort of like pragmatically, for you, having a completely remote team is the best possible way to do it.
I think there's a world in which different hubs can work. I think you'd have to have a big company. So Help Scout was about 150 people. I don't think it was big enough to truly make a hub culture work. But if you wanted to have, so for a little while, we had an office in Boston, for instance, and a high number of people in our team were concentrated in Boston, myself included. My apartment was too small to work remotely. I had to go in somewhere. So in those cases, I think having a hub is not a detractor as long as the lens through which your operating model works is all remote first, right? You can still have a hub where people go into the office at their leisure and hang out. And I think a lot of companies are figuring that out. The people leader from Cloudflare was up on stage yesterday talking about this, and they have a hub approach. Distributed is effectively a single hub. I know Stripe does this as well. So they have geographic hubs, and then they have a distributed hub. And there's subcultures in each one of those hubs, but there are benefits to having an office that people can go in and work at, that they really enjoy coming into. They can see some of their teammates, but it's not full on, like you got to be in this geographic area to participate.
Interestingly, I think we see that system evolving in the digital nomad world, hubs around the world, people choosing to go and live in a specific place because there's a co-working space, because there's a cheap accommodation or whatever. And I suppose that's a pretty good strategy for a remote team if you've got enough employees to create these places.
Because that's what I was saying earlier. I mean, I love a great looking office as much as the next person. I think that's awesome to go into an office, especially one that belongs to your company and one that's branded in such a way, and you can actually see your teammates and break bread with them, have a meal. I think all those are really positive things, and they don't have to detract from the remote first strategy.
It's a good point, actually. That must have quite an effect across the board, not having a head office, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like, when you invite new clients to come and see you, how does it actually work in reality when you're fully remote like that? How do you how do you deal with those kind of issues? I would call it almost like it's like a branding issue almost, but, not having a head office, essentially.
Yeah, you can always rent space. So that's what we would do. We have small team offsites. I'm based in Boulder, Colorado now. I would just rent space, my favorite office space for the week. We'd set up shop there, have a board meeting, do a team offsite, do all the things. And it felt like a real hub. It felt like a hub for the week. And then that goes away because, frankly, we want to pocket that budget and invest it in our team instead of our office.
Right. Fair enough. Last question. I've been asking everyone this. It's a rather broad one, but I'd be interested to see how you answer it. What is the future of work? It's I don't know. You should know.
I think let me think on this one.
The future of work. I've heard it's touted a lot. It's something that's spoken a lot around in these circles. It's the future of work.
Well, our species loves to pontificate about the future, just generally.
Yes.
I love to live in the here and now and learn from the moment and iterate on a day-to-day basis. But I've been doing remote work for 20 plus years, and I still feel great about it. I still think that's the way to attract the best talent. And that gives you, talent gives you the best chance to be successful and build a great business. So I think it's both the past, present, and the future, at least in terms of my perspective. But yeah, can you make the hub thing work? 100%. Can you make co-located work? Apple's a good example, where they really they want to be an office culture, and I think that they can totally make that work. At the end of the day, it's about the work culture that you create and ensuring that people are able to do their best work day in and day out there. That is the future of work, and creating and cultivating a workplace where people can do their very best and they feel excited about coming into work every day.
Sorry to add one more question on there, but as you were speaking, I completely forgot to ask you about something which everyone has mentioned continuously, which is AI.
Oh, we got to talk about AI.
Well,
it was going so well, Tim.
It was going well, but I do need to hear your opinion on it because once again, I feel like there's a rather grey area with AI. And if you're the 8th person I've interviewed. If I was to take a survey of the other people, 50% are doomers and 50% are we're all going to be fine and we're even more productive, and et cetera, et cetera. What side of the fence are you on with AI?
I'm an entrepreneur. I love technology and innovation. I think the tools that are now available to us are beyond extraordinary, and I can't wait to build products and businesses using these tools. I think I'm an incredible optimist as it pertains to AI. Is it a powerful technology? Do we know exactly how every little thing is going to play out? No, but the media narrative is disconnected from the reality that we're seeing. The media narrative is that jobs are going away. The actual reality is that more software engineers are being hired than ever today.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Why haven't I seen that data? Where did you get that data from?
Yeah, the media doesn't like to talk about it, but I think that the reality is that companies are hiring. Companies are excited about this innovation and they want to make the most of it. Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, said a few weeks ago, and I totally agree with this, if you're looking at AI purely through a cost-cutting lens, it really lacks ambition and creativity. Those that look at AI and see the opportunity for incredible things are going to realize its full potential.
Wow, there you go. But you've just swayed the rest the data in favor of people that think it's a good thing.
Really, like you had how many of the 7 so far?
Yeah,
how many?
And some people are quite doomerish.
How many
about
doomers?
4 and 4. Well,
wow.
No, 3 and 5 now. Sorry.
Okay, 3 and 5.
But I don't know. You do hear it a lot you hear the doom scenario, I find, from people who are in the AI world. Like we're consumers of AI. I assume you would consider yourself a consumer of AI.
Yeah, I'm building around it too, but I'm certainly not building foundational models.
Yeah, right. When I speak to people who come from the other side of the fence, they tend to be a little bit more doomery, a little bit more like, do you know what? I don't know what the future holds, but I'm making these plans. And that includes buying a house in the middle of Boulder or somewhere in the mountains or something, so
if it really gets to the doomsday scenario, then that's just not something I spend much time thinking about. But I do think about the future of software, and I do think about the future of SaaS. And I think software as a service is going to continue to be the world's best business model. I don't think that's going to change. Will the way that software companies are funded, built, operated evolve drastically? Absolutely. But fundamental structure of software as a service will continue. Even if you can clone a company or a product like Help Scout tomorrow, good luck. But you still have to know how to scale it and earn trust with customers and build a team that can support it. There's much more to just the build. There's a reason why ChatGPT and Anthropic and these companies have actually been focused on coding for the last 12 to 15 months. It's because it's binary, it's black and white. You can build tools, predictive models, which is basically what an LLM is. You can build really great tools to do binary work. But what happens to all the subjective work? What happens to all the other tasks that are done in an organization? The honest truth is that an LLM is just not going to be nearly as good at operating in that ecosystem relative to coding, which is just math, right? So I just think that they're focused on the very best and most impactful use case right now. Some of the other use cases are not going to be so straightforward.
Can I ask you what your favorite use case is then for you in your life?
Oh my gosh. So I learned to code when the internet was first coming of age. So like mid 90s, right? And I just thought it was the greatest thing ever. And it feels a lot like the early internet today. So I love building with AI, because whenever I don't understand what the code is doing, I just ask. Like, I don't ever run into a blocker as a coder anymore, right? I don't ever run into a blocker where I'm like, man, I can't figure this out. I've just got this Copilot right next to me. It's like, oh, here you go. I figured it out for you. I can help you figure that out. And when it comes to just building and creating products, like little websites for my family or for a side project, I love working with these tools now. So those are the use cases. And there's a lot of day-to-day use cases where I've got skills that operate every morning that help me understand my day, give me coaching on how I could show up better on my calls, things like that. But those are little productivity hacks, to be honest. Like, they're not actually changing my life fundamentally. Some of the other use cases I actually get more excited about, where the quality of my output, whether it's building a product or designing something, is just better because I've got this Copilot next to me.
I'm surprised you actually talked down the self-reflection part of AI there. I found that super
it's
important.
Awesome. Yeah.
I mean, if I look at, I do vibe code websites and stuff like that, but on the whole, that's what I use it for most, is to steelman ideas, to ask it about myself, to give me some kind of direction moving forward.
I mean, well, that's what I would associate with higher quality of output, right? So the talk that I just gave this morning, I used AI way more than I've used in any previous talk that I've ever given. And it's hard to get the data on this, but I feel like that talk was objectively better than previous talks because I continue to get this coaching, right? On like, how is the story landing? And it's really hard to bring a human being along for every aspect of the journey like that and get that sort of high quality coaching. So I do love that aspect of it for sure.
Have you noticed any of the slop creeping into your work though? As in, I certainly in what I do, it writes show notes, for example, for these kind of conversations. And I've stopped using the AI to write my show notes now.
Yeah.
Because I can spot it immediately. And I think that undermines the trust that I have with my listeners, actually.
Yeah.
Because they're looking at it, same with when you get a bad email and it's got telltale signs of an AI, you know.
Well, I was on a panel yesterday, and one of the questions that came up was, you know, what is AI not going to be able to do, or what shouldn't you do with AI? And I think it's the last 10% of anything, right? So the last 10% of your podcast involves the show notes, right? And that's where you really want the quality and the effort and the craft to show through. So what makes me so excited about this is not the fact that you can clone anything. Anybody can clone anything. Who cares? It's that we're elevating the craft, right? People who care deeply and care about quality and craft, this is their moment, right? Because the last 10% is going to be everything. So I'm very excited about this cycle for that specific reason. People that care about craft and quality, the bar has just gone up 10x.
And actually, in my experience, AI is terrible at the last 10% anyway.
Always will be, because it gets subjective, right? Whenever it gets subjective, these tools are just not nearly as good as everybody thinks they are.
Yeah. Okay. Well, great. Thanks for stopping by.
My pleasure.
Thanks for giving me a bit of your time. And I'll run into you somewhere else, hopefully.
Cool. Thanks, Tim.